What's going on, YouTube? The AlphonZeus team, Gradelock here at ARG Invitationals. Here we actually have the other team that has went on to become the champion of the Last Chance Qualifier event. We have Paul, John, and Shai. We're going to be doing a deck profile of Paul's deck profile of Nubatama. So let's take it away.
All right, thanks, Al. So today, our team, we managed to go undefeated. I went X1 myself, playing Nubatama of all clans, right? So basically, it's my starter. Stealth Dragon Magatsu Wind. Yo. This is my starter, Stealth Dragon Magatsu Wind. Obviously, as all starters, when you ride on it, you get to draw a card. Nothing special. It's a Protect clan, as you guys can see. This is probably one of my favorite clans by far. I'm very happy to be amongst the top 4 today. So we're going to start with the grade 3s. So Shura, Stealth Dragon, Kajiri, Congo. This is your main 3. This is the guy that makes all the plays. Counterblast 1, you can rip a card out of your opponent's hand if they have at least 4 or more. When any of your opponent's rear guards are bounced to their hand, your opponent can't guard this turn for the same grade as the cards bounce to their hand. So if he bounces 0, they can no longer guard with 0s for the turn. So this card is extremely valuable. Next, we're going to go into our other grade 3. Play 3 copies of Stealth Dragon, Void Master. This card's phenomenal for a lot of different ways. If you don't see him, you have another ride target that has a Protect marker. Van Rear, when placed until end of turn, your opponent cannot intercept. He gets power +3, making him a 15k attacker. Van Rear, at the end of the battle that he attacks, you can counterblast 1. Choose one of yours or your opponent's rear guards, bounce it to its owner's hand. If you bounce your opponent's, you get the guard restriction here. If you bounce one of yours, at the end of the battle, you trigger combos where you can recall them, activate skills, so on and so forth. Preserve your rear guards and your guard. There's a lot of tricks and shenanigans Nubatama can do that are really undervalued. The boy himself, whether he's in premium or standard, this card is just makes this the clan lives and dies by the boy. So grade 3, giftless, 11k base, Van Rear. You Soul Blast 3, you discard 2 Sentinels, right? We don't need those. He gets power +15. If your opponent's a grade 3 or greater, you return all of your opponent's rear guards to their hand. If at least 1 card was returned, your opponent has to choose 5 cards from their hand and discard them. So discard 5 sounds pleasant, right? So I mean, everyone, you can assume why this card is just really, really powerful. They have a 7-card hand. You bounce 1 rear guard back to their hand. Discard 5. They go down to 3 total. Then they have to guard your attacks with 3 cards in hand and try to make a play. Combo with him, you get the guard restriction. You bounce a 2 and a 1. They can't guard with those 2s and 1s. You rip a card out of their hand with his skill, and now all of a sudden they have a small card. They have to choose, do I discard the cards that I can guard with to keep combo pieces for the following turn, or do I hold the combo pieces that I cannot guard with due to his guard restriction and grade 3s, and be able to play should I survive next turn. So this actually came up like every single game. Now to our 2s. Literally probably one of the best cards Nubatama got in standard. In standard format. Stealth Dragon, Magatsu Gale, Van Rear on place, counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, you get a draw card, gets power +6, so he instantly replaces himself. Rear guard, at the end of battle, he attacks, put him into the soul, so he refunds himself. Return any rear guard on your board to your hand. So reuse skills, you could put the crow back in your hand, you could put another valuable rear guard back in your hand. Tucks away into the soul, just self-explanatory. We got 4 momentary stealth rogues, Amasa. This card is very love-hate. It's a necessary evil for now. It's a grade 2 8k, which, you know, it's not the greatest. On place, you choose one of your units. It can choose itself. It gets 3k power until end of turn. If that unit was a grade 3 when you chose it, you get to Soul Charge 1. At the end of the battle that he attacks, you Soul Blast 1 and you return this unit to your hand. So there's a lot of heavy Soul Blast costs in the deck. Using him as a guerrilla style attack where you attack, bounce him back to your hand, call him next turn. It's very important. It gives your grade 3s 3k power. So if your opponent's on a force base at 13k and you're at 12, you give it +3, now you're 15, so you can swing over 13. But unfortunately, like, he is an AK, so the columns you make with him are pitiful. If you can't boost him, it's literally an AK. that can't, 9 times out of 10 can't even swing at a rear guard. But you need the soul charge, the power gain is nice, and the fact that he goes back to your hand is good as well. Probably one of the first cards that goes out potentially. We'll see, based on the 10 cards we get. Shura, Stealth Dragon, Kabuki Kongo. This guy was actually probably the star of the show, surprisingly. So it's a grade 2 9K on place. If your Vanguard is Kabuki Kongo, no, Kujiri Kongo, he gets power +3 for the end of turn, 12K attacker. Then you can counterblast 2, return all of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as this unit back to the hand, and they have to discard cards equal to the amount of cards they returned. So you call it, counterblast 2, choose a column, bounce it to hand, and he has to discard 2 cards. It came up, it was pivotal to winning one of my games. That came down to the wire. With him, it triggers his guard restriction because it bounces units back to your opponent's hand. And it's just solid, like all around well balanced card. Then we got our grade 1s. Probably literally the reason why I never had to G-assist today. We got good old Dreadmaster. Van Rearguard, grade 1 when placed. So ride it, call it, discard a card, draw a card. If your Vanguard is Kujiri Kongo, you can choose the Soul Blast 1. Your opponent has to choose 1 Rearguard, at least 1. Return to the hand, then they have to discard a card. So what's cool about this is after you pay cost, if they don't have Rearguards on the board, it's bounce and discard. So since you fulfill this as much as possible, if you can't bounce a unit, they still have to discard a card. So you can literally just call these at any moment in time to filter, so you drop and draw, and then you rip a card out of their hand at the same time. If you ride this as your grade 1, you do its skill first, so you drop and draw, then you draw for your starter. So he digs even harder for the grades that you're missing, and it came up like all the time today. If I had the crow in hand, the chicken we call him, I would try to dig for like an actual good grade 3 ride, so on and so forth. Then we got the other star. Probably going to stay in the build even going forward. It's a grade 1 AK, Stealth Rogue of the Night. I'm not going to butcher that name. Rearguard, he doesn't deserve that. When placed, if you have 3 or more units, so it includes himself, you discard a card from your hand as cost. He gets power +3, this is 11k booster. And then if there's 1 or less face-up cards in your damage zone, so it has to be at least face-up, you draw a card and you get to countercharge 1. So this card also, the fun thing about this is if you're at no damage in the beginning of the game, you can literally just call it to drop and draw, so you can filter even further because you have to have at least 1 or less face-up. Otherwise, you just use it as a very convenient countercharger that you can bounce back to your hand with your other skills and then just keep reusing it to keep filtering through your deck. You just have to manage your counterblast very well. Tempest Stealth Rogue Fuki. So good old Fuki came back as a retrained unit in Standard. It's a grade 1 AK with a simple skill, Continuous Rearguard. If one of you or your opponent's rearguards get bounced to the hand this turn, he gets 6k power, so he's literally a 14k booster. It's extremely relevant. If you boost, you can use it as a 14k attacker, or you can use it to boost our good old AK friend here to make a 22k line against Excel and Protect. So very, very important. And then I play the one of, it probably sounds not as important, but surprisingly has its uses. Stealth Fiend Oborokar, another retrained unit given to us by Murakumo. Thank you. On place, you get to discard a card as cost. You double the power of one of your grade 3s or greater in the same column until end of turn. This actually came up in a game where I discarded my opponent's cards out in the hand, and then I doubled my Vanguard's power. So it was literally, the attack was unguardable with the shield value you had in hand. At the end of the battle that he attacks or boosted, you counterblast 1, he goes back to your hand. So you can call him, attack with him, boost with him, put him back to your hand. The utility of this card is really, really good. Then we go to my triggers. We got 4 crits, plus 3 crits. So you play 7 crits all together. I play 7/5. So we got 4 PG draws and a regular draw. With all the discarding and filtering, you're not actually plussing. You're just going even. So you want to draw cards to dig even further. This is optimal discard target for your drop and draws as well. Then we go to our heals, which we cannot live without. 20k shield, healing is fantastic. Going to like our matchups today. I played Nubatamas. My teammates played Bermudas and Neo Nectars respectively. Round 1, Played against Kaguro. The matchup with Kaguro is fantastic. They have a lot of discards to their costs. So the fact that they have to discard to use costs. My opponent had an on-hit draw in grade 1. He drew off Airmo. He drew off another grade 1. He hit a draw trigger. He did all this drawing, but at the end when I crowed him, he only had a 2-card hand. So I just couldn't guard my decks. Game 2, I played against... I played against an OTT player who was playing Pure Witches. It was very interesting. My opponent even described it as kind of like a high rolly deck where you need to ride ideal targets. He got his ideal targets. He hit his 3 or 4 draw triggers, PG draws, within the span of 2 or 3 turns. Drew a massive amount of cards. Had a bunch of on hits with the witches. I just got smacked up. Game 3, I want to say played. What did I play? What happened? Oh, I played against Highlander Bermudas. That game was probably my favorite game today. One of my opponents had lost. One of my teammates had lost. The other one had won, so it came down to me. I had to make a risky decision. I had crowed him the turn before. I had a crow on the board. Long story short, I either crowed him again with the 11k I'm regarding to. I either crowed him again, or I just attacked him. He had the grade 4 in hand that let him restand. So the 2 PGs in hand, I would have had to use to guard his attacks. I was at 5 damage, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna risk it all. I'm gonna crow him. Long story short, I got the game. I was able to miraculously pull off double crow back to back and win. Meaning the turn before and the turn after. Then game 4, I played Gears. That was actually super interesting. I crowed him. He just kept hitting draws and heals, but he wasn't seeing normal units. I guess every time I made him discard cards, he would discard normal units. It was a fantastic game. That was another game where one of my teammates had won and one of my teammates had lost. So it came down to Nubatama, ironically, of all clans, to win. And it was a comfortable game. He ended up decking out. So yeah, I ended up going 3-1. It was a fantastic day. It was a really well-organized event. I'm really glad I came. And yeah, so that's my Nubatama deck. I've been playing it for quite a while. I've been playtesting it for quite a while. So if you guys want to give it a look, if you have any comments, I will try my best to respond to them. I'd like to thank Team Gradelock for letting me letting me do my deck profile on their channel. So yeah, and this is our very fancy champion, Matt.
Yep.
And yeah, so.
All right, Paul, thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed deck profile. Feel free to comment down below any tips, suggestions, or just reactions, really. It's always interesting to just see the builds, especially practicing over time, because when you learn the strategies beyond the cards that you see on the screen, you get to learn more about how the strategy WinCon develops.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep. So that's it for Team Gradelock. I am the AlphonZeus Team Gradelock here with Paul. For everybody over at the family of Team Gradelock and friends, signing out. Take care, guys.
Deuces.